cop spot next to me. That was fine. And some people parked in one of the parking spots ahead of me, and that's fine too. And Chris Stafford walked by and smacked the hood of my vehicle. Well, this guy's lights are off. Your lights are off!
Y'all were talking about something, so I walked out.
Well, he's parking anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I figured I'd let him know. There's a few snide and rude comments, but I ignored them. Anyway, against me or anything like that, just which I'm capable of doing too, is we're all over. I got a pretty filthy goddamn mouth. Uh, 8:52. I gotta wait another hour before I can go anywhere, and then I got shit tons of errands to run. That ought to be fun. People are shitty, that's a fact. If they think you're pretty, they might act a little nicer, but not likely.
How effective were Panzerfaust glue? The Panzerfaust was an anti-tank weapon invented by the Germans.
Chris Stafford just threw a goddamn apple through my window. What a piece of shit. There's the cops right there. Fucking bastards. Useless shits.
6% of German tanks were launched to Panzerfausts. Each Panzerfaust cost roughly $100 US in today's money, which was remarkably cheap. These Panzerfausts were 6.
Motherfucker. And of course, he drove around for another run. And there's Chris Stafford right there. What a nice fucking guy. Umbers, I'm telling. I'm just kidding.
That one has the egg.
Nice of something to remember.
Oh. Excuse me, ma'am, this one's closed.
Here.
I got a question for you.
Go.
The spots out there by the handicap spots, can you see those on camera?
Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to check.
Somebody
Maybe at
threw
an
an apple
angle.
through my window.
Club card. Someone threw an apple.
My 111th birthday had a right to complain.
Look at you, Mr. Baller.
Right? Yeah, I stood out there for like 8.5 hours today. Plus I saved some of the money from yesterday from panhandling. So now I'm rich and I'm gonna buy a mansion and a yacht.
You gotta go to Cali, man. Those people make like 3,000 a day.
I'm gonna tell you something. When I was in Boulder, Colorado, I got to hear the whole time that I was homeless about all these homeless people out there flying these signs that have convertible drop tops.
Dude, for real.
Every one of them.
They have people follow people to see them get into these cars and drive up the hill.
I knew one guy the whole time I was homeless who had even a nice car. This dude went homeless having a BMW, and it's the only thing he owned. He's like, dude, I made the last payment like the month before I became homeless. That is a heck of a ride. Oh, I better
Don't,
take
yeah, don't be Have a good night.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't want to promote your own stuff, is what it is. Yeah.
Are you back here or no? No. Okay.
I heard this story.
One of these days, I'm gonna find out where all the cameras point, and then that's where I'll park. Although where I'm parking now is where Paul told me to park. See, it's not off in the corner this time. Well, I got other options. I just don't want to use them. They're not fucking nice. However, I already know the cops ain't gonna do shit. None of my friends are gonna do shit. Oh yeah, it's because I don't have any. At least I got some acquaintances. Right? Was it Chris Stafford? Yeah. Do I have a way to prove it? It depends on their cameras. This video here is at least proof enough that it went through my goddamn window. There's the apple. That's where it landed. What a fuckhead. So what do these guys plan on doing? Just fucking with me over and over and over again until something bad happens to them? That don't sound like a very smart thing to do. It don't sound too bright to make enemies with somebody like me. I'm very loud-mouthed. Very loud-mouthed. I got other options, but none of those are nice options, so I avoid them at all cost. I make sure I don't kill nobody. I make sure I don't chop nobody up. I make sure I don't remove anybody's pieces. I make sure I don't break any of their internal or external organs. That's right, your skin is an organ. Anyway, I started this video because Chris Stafford and his friends were fucking with me. What do you know? They go by and fuck with me again. On the bright side, it's not like he broke the window. Predatory assholes don't like being told on. They like getting away with it. All predators like getting away with it.
For the first time in 4 decades,
Well, that ain't it. Let's see.
How effective were Panzerfausts in World War II? Panzerfaust was an anti-tank weapon invented by the Germans, but used by many countries in the war. Panzerfaust, which means tank fist, was invented in 1942, but widespread use started only in 1943. By the end of the war, 8.3 million units were produced, but how effective were they? About 6% of Allied tank losses during the Second World War can be credited to Panzerfausts. Sources do not agree on the exact number of tank kills, but they all agree that 6% of Allied tank.
Goddamn youngins fucking around. Please teach your girls not to go screaming at every goddamn thing. What a fuckhead. So, Chris was chasing after Amanda. She turned him down. Then he was chasing after Sam. She had a boyfriend. That dude just don't use his head. I do realize he's a lot bigger than me. It really ain't necessary to be that kind of an asshole. If it wasn't for safety issues created by Chris Stafford, I would not have a safety issue with Chris Stafford. Merkava main battle tank.
With available all-wheel drive and elevated ground clearance, take sophisticated.
This is what the Palestinians are getting their asses kicked by.
The latest generation of Israeli main battle tank, MBT, nicknamed Barak or Merkava 5, begins to undergo field capability tests with the Israeli army. Currently, the Merkava 5 is operated by the 52nd Battalion of the 401st Iron Track Armored Brigade. The 401st Iron Track is an armored brigade in the 162nd Division of the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, which is under the Southern Command and mainly operates Merkava 4 tanks. The Merkava 5 is an improved version of the Merkava 4 by integrating latest technologies and innovations in digital protection and combat capabilities. The design of the Merkava 5 is very similar to that of the Merkava 4, with the driver's position being located on the left side of the hull, the turret behind the hull, and the engine in front. This tank is manned by 4 personnel consisting of a driver, commander, gunner, and ammunition loader. The Merkava 5 has the same armament as the Merkava 4, namely one 120mm smoothbore gun which has been developed by Israel Military Industries, EMI. This gun is capable of firing high-penetration projectiles and can also fire anti-tank missiles with a range of up to 4,000 meters. The second armament consisted of a coaxial 7.62mm machine gun, a 7.62mm machine gun mounted to the starboard side of the turret roof. One of the most important improvements to the Merkava 5 is the integration of the Trophy APS, Active Protection System, designed to engage the most advanced anti-tank missiles, ATGM, and high-explosive rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs. APS Trophy creates a neutralization bubble around the vehicle. It will quickly detect and classify all known chemical energy, CE, threats. The Merkava 5 is also equipped with a day-night camera that provides a 360-degree view around the vehicle. The tank commander is equipped with a digital helmet that provides a 3D view of the battlefield and all the data for carrying out combat operations. This advanced helmet provides all the information about the target, which ammunition to fire, as well as visual signals for damage inside the tank. The Merkava 5 also includes new sensors that allow it to independently acquire targets and engage opponents quickly, as well as deploy advanced electronic warfare and processing systems capabilities. For propulsion, the Merkava 5 is powered by a V12 diesel engine that produces 1,500 horsepower. The maximum speed is 64 kilometers per hour with a cruising range of up to 500 kilometers.
My fiance and I are huge fans. We have a wedding in June, and I want to hear your best advice for like a newly.
The Ukrainian army received the Slovenian-funded M55S tank, an upgraded version of the T-55. But Kiev also wants more Israeli artillery heavy armor personnel carriers. Whether the artillery BC will be sent to Ukraine is an issue that is attracting media attention. Israel is known as an expert in converting enemy booty weapons. The artillery armor personnel carrier is a prime example. This heavy ABC was converted from a T-54-55 tank. During the war with the Arab states in 1967, Israel seized a heavy large number of T-54-55 tanks that the Soviet Union supplied to its allies. Immediately, Tel Aviv converted and commissioned them in the name Turan. Realizing that the original 100mm D10T2S cannon on the T-54-55 tank was not powerful enough and caused logistical difficulties, Israel replaced it with the Western standard 105mm M68 gun at that time. By the early 1990s, the Turan tanks had become obsolete, but instead of getting rid of them, Israel took the surprising step of removing the turret, redesigning the interior to turn the T-54-55 tanks into armored personnel carriers, called the artillery. About 100 artillery heavy armored personnel carriers have been in service with the Israeli army after converting and removing spare parts from surplus Turan tanks. The artillery received additional armor protection, changed the chassis design with the rear door. It carries 7 fully equipped soldiers with a crew of 3, including driver, gunner, and commander in charge of combat communications. The weapon system on the artillery is quite simpler, consisting of only 1 or 2 7.62mm machine guns, but when necessary, the vehicle can also be fitted with a 12.7mm heavy machine gun or an automatic grenade launcher. With the removal of the turret, the chassis weighs only 30 tons, but when put on the multi-purpose armor, it increased significantly. With a total weight of 44 tons, artillery is classified as a super heavy armor personnel carrier, while rivals only weigh 15 to 25 tons. Despite its heavy weight, the protection of this ABC is among the best in the world. Even a 100mm shell can hardly destroy artillery, while most armored personnel carriers can only against 25 to 30mm ammunition. For maneuverability, the vehicle is equipped with an 8V92TA engine with a capacity of 710 horsepower and an Allison XDG4115A automatic transmission for a top speed of 65 kilometers per hour and a range of 550 kilometers. This heavy ABC is not amphibious, but with a short preparation, it can ford water obstacles up to 4 meters deep. It can be said that artillery is one of the very few armored personnel carriers with the best armor in the world today. Israel is currently working on a plan to install a 30mm cannon and anti-tank missiles to turn them into heavy infantry fighting vehicles.
However, with the advent of a new generation of armored personnel carriers named Nemer, much heavier and more modern, the arteries are gradually becoming redundant for the Israeli army. Realizing that Tel Aviv intends to eliminate the aforementioned heavy ABC, Ukraine has proposed to receive all of it to strengthen its armor force. But perhaps Ukraine is unlikely to receive these artillery APCs in the immediate future, because Israel does not want relations with Russia to deteriorate. It is possible that Kiev will still receive them in the future, but that will be after the hostilities are over.
Now let's learn about the namer. It looks very similar, by the way.
Throw your old coat out. It's time to warm up with the Weston heated jacket. Try it for yourself.
Dad, what is this? How many did you post? Oh, Brian. They're all from last night.
Do you see the one with Bobo? It's good stuff.
Welcome to our military weapons. Hi everyone and welcome back to our channel. Make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on to get more videos like this one in the future. Today we're talking about Namir, the Israeli armored personnel carrier that's based on the Merkava Mark IV tank chassis. Namir was developed by and is being assembled by the Israeli Ordnance Corps and has earned service in limited numbers with the Israeli Defense Forces since the end of 2008. However, as of 2014, only a very limited number of Namirs were in service with the IDF. They're more heavily armored than the Merkava IV tanks, and according to the IDF, the Namir is the most heavily armored vehicle in the world of any type. About its survivability, the Namir has been designed for survivability and rapid repair and features modular armor, a V-hull belly armor pack, and CBRN defense systems. As Israel's defense ministry stated in 2015, the Namir is considered to be the most protected armored combat vehicle in the world, which proved its abilities during fighting in Operation Protective Edge against many threats. Of its armament, the Namir is armed with either an M2 Browning machine gun or an MK-19 grenade launcher that's mounted on a Samson remote-controlled weapon station, as well as a 7.62mm machine gun and a 60mm mortar. Smoke grenade launchers are also carried. Of its capabilities, it's capable of maneuvering in difficult terrain, powered by the Teledyne Continental AVDS 1790-9AR, which features 1,200 horsepower, a V12 air-cooled diesel engine of the Merkava Mark III. Namir is able to carry up to 12 troops, crewmen, and fully equipped infantrymen, and 1 stretcher or 2 stretchers, along with medical equipment, on an ambulance medevac version. The original Merkava Mark IV rear entrance was redesigned to be a wider door ramp with a sniper port. 2 hatches are fitted on the roof, which is higher than Merkava's hull roof. The Namir also features a digital battlefield management system with a Merkava Mark IV, giving it hunter-killer team capabilities. By 2014, there were up to 120 Namirs in service, and they took part in Operation Protective Edge. During the fighting, Namirs, which at the time were not fitted with an active protection system, were hit multiple times with RPGs and ATGMs, including suffering direct hits by 9mm 133 Cornet ATGMs, but the vehicles emerged undamaged, and in no instances were the armor penetrated or any injuries caused. As a result of its success on the battlefield, there were calls for the number of vehicles to be increased beyond the 170 that were on order, and for them to gradually replace the many M113s currently fielded by IDF combat units. 2 Namirs also took part in the Gaza War in 2008 to 2009 as part of the Golani Brigade. On the 31st of July in 2017, the Israeli Defense Ministry released video of an infantry fighting vehicle version of the Namir that was fitted with an unmanned turret armed with a 30mm cannon. The turret is equipped with the Trophy APS. The Namir IFV offers more firepower for infantry units and provides a better response in urban combat operations. The addition of Spike anti-tank guided missiles is also being considered. It weighs 60 tons, featuring a crew that has a commander, a driver, an RCWS operator, and 9 troops. Of its armor, it's classified as being composite matrix, laminated ceramic steel nickel alloy, plus an underlaid reactive armor. It has a sloped modular design and features a power-to-weight ratio of 20 horsepower per ton. Its payload capacity features 9 infantrymen, and the suspension is a helical spring. Operation ranges in the 500s with speeds of 60 kilometers per hour at its top speed. That's it for this one. Remember to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more videos in the future. Also, like this video and leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.
Now that APC version versus the AFV, APC is Armored Personnel Carrier, and that's what the Namir is. The AFV, that stands for Armored Fighting Vehicle. Those can actually carry the same exact amount of dudes. The APS, that's Active Protection System. There's actually 4 different independent systems that are on it. One of them is the trophy system they were talking about. And you need to get your projectiles going faster than 2,500 feet per second. Optimally, you need to get it around 2,900 feet per second. Might be 2,900 meters per second. I'm going to have to relook that up now. Anyway, this is far exceeding any man-pad or man-portable launcher that we have. The Russians claim to have one that's up to 4,000 meters per second, but no way. That's not to say that it's not possible. It's just to say that the Russians aren't going to be able to do that man-portable, because you still need to be able to go through the armor once you reach it. Problem is, when you're going that fast, you tend to have pre-detonation, and pre-detonation can actually happen as soon as it launches out of the tube. So a lot of different nations are trying to figure out how to bypass that particular active protection system on the Merkava and the Namir. There's also the explosives contained within. Their hull has blocks of explosives, and these explosives aren't set off by fire. They're not set off by impact. They're set off by shockwave, which means that it takes basically an RPG round in order to set it off. And ideally, it's supposed to burn up everything that's coming its direction and redisperse the cone effect. Basically, it shoots a little tiny piece of metal that's about as big around as a BB. That's all the more metal actually goes through. That's not to say more of the metal doesn't follow through afterwards, but the initial piece that makes it so that it puts that big hole about 3/4 of an inch wide by up to 1.5 feet. Now that is significant, but that's also through rolled homogeneous armor. Once you start talking about weave matrices, what you're talking about is discs. Each one of them is slightly curved, and you stack them one on top of the other inside of what's called a slurry. A slurry is basically It's really, really thin mud, I guess you'd call it. Ceramic mud. Once you've made the discs, you allow the slurry to harden, and then you bake it. Now that's just one part of the matrix. There's also different types of metal that are interwoven in it that are supposed to help create kind of a cushion and a buffer. It prevents what's called sprawling, which is where metal from the inside of the tank breaks off, bounces around the inside of the tank, and basically kills everything in it, destroys machinery, destroys body parts. Just not a good thing. Anyway, some of the technologies that they might be using, which is just a guess, there's a liquid antifreeze, and that liquid antifreeze is basically used just for tank ammunition. In World War II, if you might have been paying attention, the Americans had tanks that would just basically light on fire the same way as we see Russian tanks lighting on fire today. Since the Ukrainians and the Russians are using mostly the same tanks, both of them have the same issue. However, the Ukrainians have the added benefit of getting to use those in conjunction with American hardware and Western hardware. The most productive piece of equipment that they have currently is the Lynx. That may not seem like much, and if you know what the Lynx is, that's probably a joke in your mind. But once you really take a look at what they're doing with it, you realize the Lynx is probably the most effective tool they have on the battlefield next to the soldier himself or herself. But it pales in comparison with the Namir. The other thing is, rolled homogeneous armor can only do so much. When you're talking about stuff that's going faster than the speed of sound, getting blasted through your tank, and you've got a bunch of different systems that are set to defend yourself against it, having a layer of antifreeze, basically to put out any flaming shards as they enter your tank, is probably a good thing. In World War II, we had tanks that we went into the desert in Libya and Egypt in, that basically we had ammunition posted all around the tank, and it was not in what's called wet stowage. STOWAGE. That means that the rounds themselves, you have to pull them out of a liquid and load them into the gun itself. Now what that does is it makes it so that any round that penetrates the tank and possibly penetrates your ammunition, well, your ammunition is too wet to explode. And that's kind of the idea behind it. The Russians could have actually added that to their system. They'd need about 210 gallons. And that seems pretty significant, but when you look at the overall weight of the tank, you're not increasing it that significantly. That's actually an upgrade that the Russians could do today. No joke. The guy who designed it was talking about setting it up so that it could do that. Although they opted out of that option, all of the parts are still there. They made it the way that he designed it. They just didn't add the liquid coolant. Meanwhile, it's not a coolant, it's a fire retardant. Alright, well, it looks like nobody's come by to fuck with me in a few minutes. I'm gonna make sure my car starts up again. Goddamn, Chris is such a dick. Anyway, I believe her name is Christy. I'm horrible with names. I let her know. I asked her if the cameras on the building were, if they pointed at my car at all. Let's see what time it is here so that we can at least document it. It's 9:46 p.m. on October 31st. My phone says this is 55 minutes and 30-something seconds long. So that'll allow us to backtrack in the video and see when it is that the apple was thrown through my vehicle. Fuck Chris Stafford, he can kiss my ass. He's fucking nice when he wants something. But him and his friends need to leave me the fuck alone. They only have one town. You guys really gonna let these assholes fuck up your ability to have a town? Although it's not common, we have had towns in the United States entirely shut down because they can't operate as a town anymore because they spent too goddamn much money paying out, well, basically bribes. That's what it is when you settle out of court. It's a bribe. We got a lot of them that ended up getting sued, too. Why is it that we don't have any battered women's shelters anymore? Well, because although in 1978, 1/3 of the people using battered women's shelters were the spouses of police officers. That's right, a full 1/3. 1978. That was only 2 years before I was born. Imagine that. So in the 1980s, we did have safe houses. And in the early 90s, we still had some safe houses. In the mid-90s and the late 90s, we handed literally every one of them over to local police departments and sheriff's departments. Local police departments and sheriff's departments couldn't afford to keep them open because we had so many officers that were beating people to death and getting sued for it. So, yeah, those of you women who end up homeless when you're fleeing abuse, you can thank the local police stations nationwide for every goddamn thing you have to go through. God bless America, right? 9:49. Looks like in about 10 minutes I'll be able to check my card and see if there's any money on it. Hopefully my car doesn't get fucked with while I'm out and about. And fuck Chris Stafford, he can kiss my ass. You know, he's a lot bigger than me. And if you wanted to, he could beat me piss limber pretty fucking easy. But you know me, I got a big goddamn mouth. You're gonna have to put me in the ground to shut me up. Oh yeah, and fuck the KKK too. if my money does show up, first goddamn thing I'm buying is some fucking incense, because my goddamn car stinks to high fucking heaven. Mostly it's the mold growing underneath my seat, I suppose. I'm gonna have to scrape it out. That and all the puke that I got all over my door and inside of my door. Where the fuck is my goddamn lighter?